what is, let's say, the minimum amount of capital somebody would need for it to be like, okay, anything above this is better than the prop firm. But if you only have a fund with 500k, maybe prop firm is a better route.
So I'm not sure about the ins and outs with the prop firm side, to be honest. So I don't know how exactly that works. Like you said, 90% profit split, and obviously there is the risk of things going wrong whatsoever. But obviously with the institutional way, it's a bit different. You have a management fee that you take. If you, let's say, make a profit, it's guaranteed that you will get paid out because contracts are involved. So you don't have to worry about, am I going to get paid or not, etc. Yes, majority of the profit goes to the investor, but when your capital is healthy, even your split is a healthy balance. So it's not like, oh, I mean, I'm not getting too much. It's a healthy amount that you can live comfortably with. So in terms of how much is the tipping point where you should consider going the institutional way, it depends, to be honest, because let's say if you have 2 million with prop firms and you're making decent amount of money, and then you don't have the stress of investors being over the top of your head, then I think you should stick with prop firms as long as you can get your cash flow coming in and you don't have any rejections in payout. I think it's a good way to stick there. But let's say if you want to go to 10 million, I feel like prop firms would be a bit of a tricky situation. I don't think you can quite scale that. Then maybe you should consider going into the institutional world. I always tell my friends as well, I say, look, trade your prop firms. You can always trade your prop firms, but why don't you also try to create a track record so you can eventually get some investors on board as well? Why not do both things? Because at the end of the day, you have to trade, you have a strategy, you can apply them on both sides. But it's always good to have two options, because if one goes down, you always have your backup. With prop firms, we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if regulations will come in, if this is a bubble or not. But if it is, then you need to be prepared, because if, let's say, there was a time, I think, when the American traders were
for regulatory reasons they couldn't they only futures, they couldn't trade forex prop firms.
Exactly. So like for situations like that, it's good to have some backup.
Yes.
And in order to have a backup, you need to create a track record. So maybe work on a track record, have it. Maybe don't go that way, but at least have a track record. Worst comes to worst, you can always go that side.
I really like that advice. I want to understand it better. So when somebody may hear track record, they might take it from the lens of prop firms and think, oh, I got to get a 50% or 100% a year. Otherwise, it's not worth anything. Probably because it's going to be a smaller account too if it's self-funded. What is an appropriate track record in terms of deposits and annualized gains?
Okay, so a decent track record would be a stable, boring track record, first of all. So first thing to understand is that I know in prop firms you have to make 10% a month. And if you don't make 10%, then you fail the challenge, I think.
Different rules, but more or less, yes.
Yeah, like so and that's a quite toxic mindset, in my opinion, because I met a lot of guys who were trying to pass challenges and they couldn't make 10%, and they were only doing 3-5%, and they thought they were a bad trader. Yep. But in my eyes, that was actually that's a good return in the institutional world. So just because you can't make, let's say, 10%, that does not mean that you're a bad trader. But in the institutional world, you need to make 2 to 3% every month. And another important factor to consider is that when you're making your track record, don't have it in wild graphs, meaning that 1 month you're making 7%, then you're down 4%, then you're maybe up 14%. It's too wild. You want to have it quite boring in a way. So 2%, 3%, minus 1%, 3%. So it's a very small range that you want to have. Do that for a whole year. Once you do that, then you basically get your track record audited. Now, a lot of people just put it on my FX book. That's not the way forward with the institutional way. But what you need to do is you need to get it audited by a big accountancy firm. Now, one tip I can give you is, for example, KPMG. They do they audit accounts as well. And when you are trying to get investors and they see that your track record is audited by KPMG, that adds a lot of credibility to your name, because KPMG is the second biggest accountancy firm in the world. So you need to try to put as many credibilities behind you, so that way it's easier for you to win the trust of your investors.